You ever sit at a dinner table so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat? That was me. The night my family decided I wasn't good enough to sit among them, the chicken parmesan on my plate might as well have been sand. My mother's words, calm, practiced, fatal, hung in the air. We've decided it's better if you don't come to the wedding. Everyone just nodded, like a jury that had already agreed on the verdict before I ever opened my mouth. Dad wouldn't look at me. My brother smirked like he'd been waiting years for this moment, and my sister, Elena, twirled her engagement ring under the chandelier, her smile too polished to be kind. It's not personal, Mia, she said. But you know how these things are. Presentation matters. Presentation. That's what they called it. What they meant was I didn't. They'd already crafted the story. Mom even said it, wiping her lips with her napkin like she was discussing weather, not her own daughter. We told everyone you're traveling for work. People understand career obligations. People.as in, her people, the kind who introduce themselves by listing who they know, not who they are. I asked quietly, who are we lying to this time? Elena sighed. Brad's family. His father's on 3 corporate boards, his mother runs the museum gala. Dad cut her off with a nod. We can't afford to embarrass ourselves, Mia. You understand. Understand? Oh, I understood perfectly. That I understood that to them, I was the invisible child, the one with the boring job. The one they couldn't brag about at charity dinners. They had no idea my boring job was running one of the most powerful advisory firms in the state, that the governor himself called me before every major policy vote. But in their world, power only mattered if it came with a spotlight. So I smiled. I nodded. I let them box me out of their perfect little world, and promised myself one thing: they'd regret underestimating me. 2 weeks later, my phone was a hurricane of wedding updates, flower arrangements, designer dresses, guest lists full of senators and CEOs, not one message addressed to me, but I was still in the family chat, like a ghost haunting a house that forgot my name. Mom even posted on Facebook, so proud that all my children will celebrate this special day, even if Mia joins us virtually from her big work trip. I wanted to laugh. If hypocrisy had a scent, my family reeked of it. Only Aunt Grace texted me privately, I know the truth. I'm sorry, sweetheart. You don't deserve this. And I thought, no, I deserve better. Thursday before the wedding I was in the governor's office, finalizing the education funding plan that would change the state's future. Governor Hayes, calm, sharp, terrifyingly smart, read my report line by line. This is exceptional, Mia, he said. You've outdone yourself. I smiled. Thank you, sir. He looked up. Sir? We've known each other 2 years. It's Eli, when we're not on camera. Then, casually, he added, you mentioned a family event this weekend? I hesitated. My sister's wedding. His eyes lit up. Thornhaven Estate, right? The Whitfield wedding? My blood turned to ice. You know them? He chuckled. Know them? Richard Whitfield and I were roommates in law school. They invited me months ago. The world stopped spinning. He leaned back. Finally, I'll get to meet your family. You must be excited. I forced a breath. Actually, I'm not invited. He blinked. Come again? Space constraints, I said quietly. That was the longest silence of my life. When he finally spoke, his voice was steel. Your sister is having a 300-guest wedding and didn't invite you, but invited me? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. He saw it all in my face. The years of dismissal, the lies, the quiet shame I'd carried like a scar. He set his pen down slowly. Mia, you wrote the infrastructure plan that's changing the state. You brokered the transit deal no one else could, and they think you're not sophisticated enough for a wedding? I stared at the floor. They don't know what I do. I've kept it private. He smiled coldly. Then maybe it's time they learned. He pulled out his phone. Clear your Saturday. Governor, you can't. Oh, I can. Call it official business. You're coming with me. The wedding day I wore my best navy suit, my armor. At 4 o'clock, the live stream started. I watched them, the family who'd erased me, posing, laughing, preening for cameras. Mom glowed like royalty. Elena floated down the aisle, all lace and entitlement. And there, in the third row, sat Governor Hayes, not smiling, not clapping, just watching. When the reception began, I saw it happen live. Mom spotted him. Her face lit up like she'd seen God. She grabbed Dad's arm. They smoothed their clothes, rehearsed smiles ready that he greeted them politely. They were radiant. Until his expression changed. He said something. Mom froze. Dad's color drained. Elena stopped mid-conversation, eyes wide. My phone rang. The caller ID made my heart skip. Governor Hayes, Mia, he said evenly, your parents seem confused. They say you're out of town. I've just informed them you're my senior policy advisor. They think I'm mistaken. Care to clarify? My chest tightened. But I spoke clearly. There's no mistake, Governor. I wasn't invited. My family thought I wasn't sophisticated enough for their guest list. The silence was thick, then his voice, calm but deadly. How disappointing. I was hoping to congratulate them on raising the mind behind our state's new education initiative. Your work's being studied by 3 other states, you know, but I suppose that matters less than appearances. The entire room froze. On the live stream, I saw my mother's hand fly to her mouth. Dad stared at the floor. Elena looked like her wedding cake had turned to ash. The governor turned to leave, and like dominoes, the most important guests followed him out. The federal judge, the investment firm's CEO, the very people they'd spent months trying to impress. My phone exploded. Missed calls. Voicemails, Mom sobbing about a misunderstanding. Dad demanding I fix this PR disaster. Elena crying that I'd ruined her big day. I turned my phone off, but Aunt Grace texted, about time someone exposed them. You're brilliant, kid. Don't dim your light ever again. That night, the clip hit social media. Governor calls out family for excluding his senior advisor. Within hours, it was viral. By morning, it was on the news, and suddenly, the sister they'd hidden was the story everyone wanted to tell. 3 days later, I stood beside Governor Hayes at the press conference that he introduced me as the architect of the state's new education plan. Flashbulbs went off, reporters shouted my name, and somewhere out there, I knew my family was watching. That night, my parents came to my apartment for the first time. You never told us, Mom whispered. That I looked her in the eye. You never asked. They left in silence. Later, I got flowers from the governor's office. The note read, for the advisor who didn't need an invitation to prove her worth. I kept them on my desk, not as a trophy, but as a reminder that sometimes, being left out of the wrong room is how you find your way into the right one. And if you're watching this, if you've ever been told you're not enough, not polished, not one of us, remember, you don't need their table, you can build your own.